Good afternoon, Martin here from the Filipino Hospitality, and I just wanted to welcome you once again with another episode of our UpSkill Learning Sessions. Now, if it's your first time to join us, I just wanted to give you a rundown of why we established this. First of all, we understand how the tourism industry has been hit with the COVID-19, and a lot of us are working from home. A lot of us are feeling hopeless. A lot of us are feeling helpless. No, and so in reaction to in empathizing with our tourism stakeholders, we wanted to do something for our tourism industry. For the professionals who were displaced, for those who are confused, of what they're going to be doing from here on, as we proceed, as we transition to the new normal. And so we created this segment, in behalf of our tourism stakeholders. Now, the past few episodes, we've been discussing different topics, right? But for today, for our Motivational Monday, yes, that's the title for our Motivational Mondays, because we wanted to start the week right. And I know a lot of us are still, confused. No, a lot of us are still helpless, and so we want to help you move forward. No, as we've been conducting trainings for our tourism stakeholders, but now is a different time. No, now is the time that we collaborate. Now is the time that we seek help from one another, and so hopefully, as we engage with our tourism stakeholders, I hope that you can also give us your feedback. No, we've been appreciating some of you who have been messaging us, letting us know what are the different topics that you would like. And somehow this was a topic that that we came across. We've been talking about recovery. We've been talking about business resiliency. And so I just wanted to give you an update that last week we were given a privilege, an opportunity to share with the La Union tourism stakeholders, kung saan po we were able to share yung ano bang mga dapat gawin if you want your business to be resilient. If you want your business or the industry, the tourism industry, we understand has been hit so hard that moving forward, we're still in a wait and see process. But now here we are given an opportunity to provide them insights. And we were able to share, specifically for me, I was able to share on risk and management. In terms of planning, in terms of considerations, ano ba yung mga dapat nating consider when we talk about risk and management. Now, we also discuss about resiliency. Like, for example, we wanted to maximize this time. A lot of us are still working from home. Some hotels were given a go signal already to operate at least 50%. And so how do you transition? And so our guest for this afternoon was able to share, based on his lots of experiences with different companies, he was able to share how you can actually strive and thrive in this pandemic, in this crisis, right? So without further ado, maybe I can introduce you our very special guest this afternoon, right? But before we do that, let me just share with you this quote by Will Smith. I don't know if you've seen this movie, right? But this is quite a quote that sometimes would tend to remind me of pag sinasabi natin, why do you wake up every day, right? So sabi niya dito, I wake up every morning believing today is going to be better than yesterday. I understand a lot of you are probably feeling, yun nga, sabi natin kanina, helpless, right? Most of you were displaced, some of our tour guides, some of our travel agencies are still closed, right? So parang iniisip natin, ano pa ba ang gagawin ko moving forward, right? So our topic for today is going to be about hope, about faith, and how those elements are something that we can use when you consider resiliency, when you consider recovery, no? A lot of us were asking, paano kaya magre-recover? How can the tourism industry bounce back? And so we want to discuss more about resiliency on, but more than that, no, more than giving solutions, right? Of course, no one at this point really knows. There's no one size fits all solution towards our problems because, of course, every organization is unique. But we want to learn more on how we can be resilient as a business and eventually bounce back from this pandemic. Now, just to share this definition, I wanted to define what resilience mean. Now, resilience, based on this definition, is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. So it talks about toughness. And a lot of us would like our organizations to be like that. But more than the business itself, we also want ourselves to be like that. No, as an industry, sabi nila, ang tourism industry daw is one of the most resilient industry, no? Based on history, if you're going to look at the different, like for example, the SARS pandemic or the the economic crisis from years back, no? The tourism industry definitely was able to bounce back. So it's just a matter of when. Now, another definition stated here is the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. And I think that's really what we want to happen. No? With our businesses, even with our professional, a lot of us are asking, okay, how can we bounce back? No? Even I was invited to an engagement with the school where we were discussing na meron pa bang future ang ating mga hospitality and tourism students. So of course, no, we would like to think that yes, indeed, marami pa pong opportunities for us. So it's really a matter of, for me, in my opinion, about having faith, about having hope that tomorrow will be better, right? So maybe we can shed more light about this topic, especially since we do have a very special guest, as I mentioned, right? So maybe we can proceed now with introducing him. Now, Mr. Boris Joaquin, actually, just if you haven't seen him, no, he's around. No, he's always, in the top corporate. If you belong to the top corporate companies in the Philippines, he probably attended one of his trainings, right? So just to give an overview, right? So Boris is one of the country's top-ranked corporate trainers on leadership and other people's skills. Now, he is the president and CEO of Breakthrough Leadership Management Consultancy and the founder of the Project Purpose team. So maybe hopefully later, no, we can also ask him about Project Purpose. Ano bang I understand, no, from his previous topic with the La Union stakeholders, as mentioned earlier, he mentioned about being purposeful. No, what's the importance of having a sense of purpose with what you're doing? No, whether it's for your own professional or personal directive or your organization, right? So maybe we can discuss a little about that. Now, without further ado, maybe would like to welcome Mr. Boris Joaquin. Ito, very busy po itong si Mr. Boris, but we're very lucky to have him with us. Hi, Boris. Parang hindi ka ta naririnig, ah. How's your audio? Can you hear me properly?
Here right now.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Can you hear me
now.
well? All right. I'm sorry. Nawalan yata ng battery yung AirPod ko. So I was using it and I wasn't sure. But thank you for having me. This is a good show. I'm glad you. How long have you been doing this?
Well, it's actually just our sixth episode now. No? So we've been having six episodes. Usually every Monday and Friday we've been conducting this.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Kanina, I thought for a while ang guest mo si Will Smith. Bumubuelo na ako. And then I saw the picture of Will Smith. Like, oh, may international guest siya. But yeah, this is a good topic to discuss. And like what
Actually,
you said, yeah, medyo fresh from our La Union engagement the other day, right?
right. Well, you mentioned na ano no, kala mo international celebrity, hindi naman nalalayo yung kalidad ng ating guest today. No, nasa international level naman talaga si Mr. Boris Joaquin.
Well, yeah, ikaw din naman. At this point, I think the ball game is an open field. I think that's one of the things that we need to realize. And anybody can go global. Kasi ano na, wala nang boundaries, right? Kasi
That's
once
right.
you go
That's right.
digital, anybody can have access to what you have to say, what you have to share.
Right. Okay. Well, Boris, as mentioned, no, kanina na banggit natin that we recently had an engagement with the La Union tourism industry stakeholders. Now, in partnership with the Provincial Tourism Office of La Union, they invited us to share about business resiliency strategies, no? Ano bang, how do you actually create action plans and about resiliency as a whole, as a concept, right? So I understand you've been handling different organizations, no, and I'm glad that now you're taking interest in helping tourism stakeholders, because I understand your specialization in the past have been top corporate clients, no? Yung mga blue chip companies natin dito sa Pilipinas. So what, maybe you can share a little what made you interested sa tourism industry.
Well, I think I shared it to you, right? I think you're the one of the first people that I shared it to. Um, well, I did have some clients before. Normally, it's the hotel ones. I've done strategic planning and team building or leadership programs for the likes of Dusit Hotel, tawag ito, Shangri-La. I've been doing it consistently with Joy Nostalgia and Discovery, the group of companies. And and since I know their business in a way, parang I've been doing work with them. And this crisis basically, like what you were saying in your intro, the hard hit industry is really the ano, right? It's really the hospitality and tourism based organizations or companies. So in the middle of the crisis, some companies were in the middle of a strategic planning session. Because normally at the beginning of the year or towards the middle of the year, either fiscal year or calendar year, so marami talaga nagkakaroon ng planning from February, March, April, May. And so I was doing this for a lot of organizations. And I was wondering at a certain point, will it work? Sabi ko kasi litmus test. I want to try it with groups and organizations whose main business is in traveling or tourism and hospitality. And the last that we had nga with La Union was the first actually. So it was well received naman based from our contacts. They enjoyed it. They wanted more. Some people were coordinating through Messenger or they could avail services just to get their act together. So bigla ko na-realize na pwede. And I think I got this from you. This wisdom is from you. It's really just a matter of time. Parang, and everybody will be able to stand on their feet again. Not absolutely recover, but I think yung key ano doon, key insight is we just need to let time heal everything and take that opportunity. I guess in moments like this, ito yung pagkakataon where you could really recalibrate in a major way. And I like your topic na hope and faith, because in the midst of all, you'll be losing some, you'll be sacrificing some, and then eventually you will still bounce back, but you won't be the same again. And because you lost some, you might end up being a different organization altogether. But it still boils down whether at the very core of your existence as a business is still intact. And probably we'll discuss that as we converse right now. I don't want to jump into it. But yes, kaya ako nandun. I have this heart this industry, and I want to see how the frameworks, how the mindset, how the tools can actually help them bounce back.
Great. Now, with your experience with top companies, right? You've seen companies go through different kinds of crisis, right? So, in terms of resiliency, or in terms of implementing their set goals and objectives and their action plans, what do you think were they able to use successfully so that they were able to bounce back?
Well, actually, a lot of things. Well, at this point, we can't really say that they bounce back. So I think, ano
Mm,
pa,
right.
nandun pa tayo sa, let's wait and see who will. And as a matter of fact, even in my own business, I am yet to see whether I will bounce back from this
Right.
entire, well, whether, I know I will personally, but the company as a whole, I want to see first how it will end up. Siguro just to be able to clarify some expectations, okay? Kasi gasgas na gasgas na yung word na thrive eh. We need to thrive, we need to thrive. Okay, yeah, definitely we will and we want to eventually. Siguro mga 2021. Siguro depende sa depende sa industry and sa business that you're in. I think what's the key word is to survive, to be able to hold on to what you have right now, to be able to, let's say, sustain and maintain your business is another thing. Is different from really being profitable. So just to be clear and manage expectations, we might not be profitable. Okay, so that's a given. But what we need to see is being able to sustain ourselves and resilience. You defined it a while ago, di ba? I think in times of crisis and chaos, medyo importante yung stability. And resilience highly depends on how stable we can be. And I've seen companies who became stable. They're not profitable necessarily, but they're stable. For example, without naming them, actually, there's this one particular hotel, and you know this, right? They had to only they can only operate 50% of what they have, and even that's not enough. Diba? So obviously they have to let go a lot of people, and of course there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done. They need to be able to. There's a lot of logistical concerns that I can't even begin to imagine in sustaining a big, a medium-sized hotel, for example. The owners decided to close it basically totally. They have a restaurant at the ground floor, a bake shop rather, a coffee shop that creates wonderful pastries. And so one of the strategies that they came up with as a product of the tools that I shared to them on strategic planning during a COVID crisis is to be able to decide what will continue and what won't.
Right.
The restaurant's name has this particular branding. By itself, it's known. The cakes that they produce is known within the province. So they just decide that we'll deliver these pastries. It's something that we will continue doing. Of course, that resulted to them letting go of a lot of their people, and there's a 6 months moratorium yata para you can close down your operation for 6 months and then you can recover. So one of the things that they said is to their employees, we plan to open up again after 6 months, but
Okay.
we won't be able to pay you in this particular period. You have the option to look for other jobs, or when you're still when you're still okay to the idea, when we come back, when we bounce back, we'll get you back. So may ganun sila. So that doesn't sound like a good story, but I like the stability and the way they try to sustain themselves through bakery, through delivery. It's what's not it's a business that's not losing at this point, right? So they try to sustain that. They try to pivot. They try to
Right.
navigate towards that particular business unit and focus there. And at least, diba, kahit pa paano, income is coming in. It may not be as big as the hotel, but it still is substantial. Discovery Suite, for example, they're trying to go online. I don't know if you saw that. Parang they have this
Right.
cooking show online. They have this some of their famous. I don't know what the strategy moving forward is, but that's a good way to be proactive. And those are basically some of the strategies that I teach. And I think instead of wallowing in the mud of depression or self-pity, okay, wala nang pera, and I heard that from a lot of people. I think a lot of those who are successfully navigating the crisis are the ones who decided that they'll be proactive, right?
Hmm. I like what you mentioned about survival, right? Because really at this point, it's what we're doing, right? And you being one of the top corporate trainers and your business model, which normally involves facilitating training in function rooms, in convention centers,
Yeah.
right? How are you coping up with this with this pandemic, and so with regard to our topic about resiliency and adaptability, how important is innovation in helping your business right now?
Well, well, I must admit, to be honest, I mean, full confession, we suffered dramatically. I think you were supposed to attend one training that was supposed to happen in March, and
Right.
we initially postponed, but then we canceled 16 live learning events altogether. So um, you could just imagine how many millions of loss that is for us for the last 6 months. But like what I said, I think the being able to, I probably need to share this ahead of right now. It answers your question. It even answers the question I a while ago. But the formula or the mindset that I had was very basic. I just need to be purposeful. I need to be prioritizing, and I need to be proactive. So it's basically three P's. When I was bummed down by the idea that we won't be able to do it, we won't be able to do our live events. I think what struck me in one of my devotion and one of the time my quiet time with God, we're talking about motivation, was Isaiah 26 verse 3. And it basically what God was saying there is that you need to have a steadfast mind and you need to have a trusting heart. And I can go back to that verse in a while. But one of the things that the Holy Spirit really impressed upon me is that what is your purpose? What business are you in? And then I realized that I'm in the business of teaching. I'm in the business of educating. I'm a corporate educator. So I shouldn't stop doing that. Of course, nawala yung hotels, nawala yung function rooms, nawala yung live events where we can have 500 to 1,000 people per event. But we
Right.
have this. We have Facebook, we have Zoom, we have the online platforms, and we can still do this. And in one of my workshops with a client, we had 1,000 participants just in one blow, because now it's possible. We can really gather them for an hour and a half. So being purposeful is very important, and that became the anchor for me. And that's what I tell to other hospitality or travel or tourist based businesses. You need to understand your core, because and then you need to navigate towards that. And through sometimes you may have to stop. Sometimes you may have to put it on hold because it's not possible. Like people
Right.
can't fly from one province to another, or people are still scared. But your core is not really for them to register, right? Your core is, I don't know, maybe to create fun memories for families. Maybe your core is is enjoyment and pleasure. Maybe that's your core, and there may be other ways to do it. And I'm not saying I know the answer. Not definitely virtual training was not our idea of consulting. It's not. I don't have any ambition of becoming a vlogger. So, but then again, it's not my thing. But then it forced me to evolve, and that's where the two other strategies come into play when you prioritize, and then when you become proactive. Because when you prioritize, you choose, you have options now, and hopefully you have. But if you don't have an option, then you prioritize something that's right there on your face. And to most of our business, to our friends who's business people in your industry, Martin, wala silang choice. All they have right now is like the bakery shop that I told you about, this particular hotel. So all he needs to do is focus on that and be more proactive. and really drill further what else can be drawn from that business unit, and then see how he can sustain himself. And essentially that's what I did, I guess, with the training business. And that's what I told even my competitors. I wasn't, hindi ako madamot about it. I was sharing it and I was telling them, I'm not sure whether where this journey will end, but I'm hoping it's a profitable and prosperous journey eventually. But I'm just pushing it. I'm just being proactive and seeing how far it would go.
Right. So, well, eto reality check, some of our destinations are already operating. No? Some have moved from ECQ to GCQ to MGCQ, right? So, and yet, a lot of our professionals still don't have opportunities. Like katulad ngayon, no? Wala pang mga turista because syempre controlled pa rin yung ating mga flights, right? So wala pa tayong mga international tourists. Now, ano kaya? What can our tourism stakeholders do right now, no? Given that parang wala nang pag-asa. And even if you plan, no, some of us are planning further risks, no, further or at least preventing the pandemic from spreading. No? A lot of our frontliners are actually scared. They're hopeless. No? They're feeling helpless right now. So ano kaya yung words of encouragement mo moving forward? No? Like given that there is still no assurance that everything will be back as they were, right? So ano kaya pwede na lang panghawakan ngayon?
I nako, that's a tough question, and I don't really want to be the one to give false promises, di ba? Parang, I guess, reality really bites, and the situation that we're in right now is really discouraging. I mean, to be honest, I mean, you don't have to be in your industry. I mean, in the food service alone, I know a lot of people are discouraged, and if you're a small restaurant, that's already a big discouragement altogether. I was just talking to F&B Report. It's an online magazine for people who run food services, and the energy or the enthusiasm is really so low that even an online magazine for food service is affected badly. So parang, I don't know, it's like a domino effect siya. So, what I want to say siguro, as an individual, okay? Tama ba, Martin? We're trying to ask whether as a professional, how do you have hope? I personally, I think we need to hold on to, like, for what God has called us to do. I guess that's one of the things that I hold on personally as a believer, as a Christian, and even as a professional, because when all options dry out, parang when you reach the end of every road, parang it's a dead end. Um, you just hope that the bridge will appear, di ba? Parang ka nasa cliff, and that's the hope that's not tangible. Parang you just have to hold on to something. Like for example, again going back to my life, because that's the only one that I can draw from realistically at this point. I know I'm called to teach. I know I'm called to proclaim, to speak, to educate, to equip, to encourage. I want to hold
Excuse
on.
me, Boris. Sorry to interrupt. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you right now. Can
I
you
think
hear me?
we have a problem with your audio. Can you hear
Oh
me?
no, I can hear you. I
I
can hear
think
you.
we lost you.
Oh
Yes.
no. Okay.
I don't know if you can hear me, but we cannot
Oh yeah,
hear you
sorry,
right
sorry.
now.
I think wait, teka lang ha. Nag-transfer siya.
Hold on. Maybe I can disconnect. Is it okay if I disconnect you first and then maybe you can plug in again?
Yeah, I'll log in again. Sige.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. That's a challenge of a live stream. Unfortunately, there were technical problems, or currently we're still having that problem. So let me just remove first Mr. Boris Joaquin and then we'll just have him back. No, sayang, no? Kasi grabe yung topic today. And I know a lot of you can very much relate to the topic. Just to acknowledge some of our our viewers, right? So marami po tayo. Meron po tayong mga participants all the way from Baguio. Hello. Thank you very much for joining. Si Mr. Paul is here. Thank you very much. Sorry, ngayon ko lang nakita yung mga comments natin that yes, no, nagkakaroon tayo ng some challenges, some issues on the audio. So we're very much apologetic for that, no. Again, that's a challenge of a live stream, no. Along the way, biglang meron tayong mga na-encounter na ganyan. So sorry about that, but hopefully we can improve. We'll definitely tell our supplier no, yung mga challenges na ganito, right? So, ayan, a lot of you mentioned that merong audio. But can I just get a confirmation if everyone is hearing me properly? Meron bang ano? Is my audio better now? Can you actually hear me? Or am I just talking babble here and no one can actually hear me? All right. So hello to Miss Jasmine from Dagupan City, Pangasinan. Thank you very much for joining. Ayan nga, sabi nga ni Miss Bing, no, to check the audio, but she's actually watching from Davao. Yan. So yan po ang beauty ng and very much yung in terms of effectivity, by the way, just to share, no, yung reach po natin has been increasing, no, and I thank you very much for joining us every week. Some of you and a lot of you actually subscribed already to our YouTube channel. So again, thank you very much for that. Ayan. So na-confirm na clear na po ang ating audio. So we're just waiting for Mr. Boris Joaquin, no, dun sa ating live stream again. But again, as mentioned earlier, ang sabi niya, no promises, right? Hindi po talaga natin alam, no? A lot of us as consultants, no, people are always asking us, what's the solution? Anong pwede namin gawin, right? And to be honest, we always said that, no? Lagi po natin sinasabi na we cannot promise you anything, no? We do not have outright the solution. But what we can only do really is to plan, to help you plan, because the answers really will rely on you, no, as an organization, as a company, no, yung set goals and objectives niyo. Sabi nga ni Mr. Boris kanina, no, what really drives your company? What do you stand for? What is your mission? What is your vision? Sometimes you have to go back to those things before we even proceed, before we even move forward. No? Kailangan muna natin i-determine really what is the core of your organization. Now, if you know the core, like for example for us, no, the Philippine hospitality, our dream really is to elevate the standards of hospitality and tourism here in the Philippines. And so that is why we're doing what we're doing. A lot of us, a lot of the other stakeholders, so tinatanong sa amin, sir, buti hindi ka natatakot. Kasi ito, just to share with you, sometimes nagko-conduct kami ng training sa bundok, no, yung ating mga outskirts, no, in the provinces, kung saan it's NPA infested. No, minsan pupunta kami sa isang destination down south, right? And talagang from the airport, meron kaming escort na dalawang military cars, no, na vehicles, and there will be escorted all the way to the destination, no? Tapos yung mga escort namin, mga naka M16, so apparently sobrang obvious na may imminent threat, right? So parang iniisip nila, sir, buti hindi ka natatakot, buti hindi ka, alam mo yun, you're not scared, something might happen to you. And in fact, like days prior that conversation, may nangyari nga dun sa lugar na yun. Ako kasi I believe na if it's your time, then it's your time. But really, I think we do have a purpose. And I think specific for me and our business, we believe that God is doing something, so that we are being used as a medium, as a channel to help our tourism stakeholders, to help our country in a way, in our own ways, in our own means, right? So yun po yung aming drive, why we're doing what we're doing. Now, given the situation right now, ang daming challenges, right? And so we would like to welcome again Mr. Boris, no? Just to share, kanina medyo nagka-problem Mr. Boris, nagka-problem tayo dun sa audio kanina.
Are we okay now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can very much hear you. Thank you very much
Okay,
for that.
good,
And maybe you
good.
give a refresher of what you were saying kanina when we lost you.
Siguro to keep it short, mukhang nagagalit si StreamYard kapag mahaba yung nasagot ko. Siguro to keep it short, I think it's very important for us to recalibrate ourselves. Let's not take this as a parang forced joblessness or a forced shutdown. I mean, those negativity doesn't really help us. Consider this gap as a period of time for you to really to hibernate or to yun nga, my favorite word is to recalibrate. I really like using that word kasi di ba, pag nagpa-recalibrate ka ng sasakyan, di ba? Hindi naman siya ilang minuto lang eh. You really
Right.
have to put the car there. Kasi pag hindi mo ni-recalibrate yung sasakyan mo, pangit ang andar niyan. May sira yan, something will conk up, it will just ruin your driving experience and it will affect you reaching your destination. So it's always better to recalibrate and you probably have to ikakasa mo muna siya for a while before you can actually have it really tuned up to its real, parang to its fullest function. Ganon din tayo. I think this crisis has that, it calls for that. It calls for recalibration, just to renew ourselves. Maybe to evaluate what exactly matter for us. Ano yung mga what matters to us. Parang ano yung mga importante sa atin. And that's why the second strategy of prioritizing actually comes into play. Life is not a choice between good and bad. It's not like may job ba ako or wala. Parang, or na-retrench ba ako or na-sustain pa ako. Normally, we have that narrow-mindedness. But life is really an option between what's good and what's best. And some time of reflection would actually allow you to discern or decipher what is better than what is good. And you don't want to settle for what is good lang. So I always take this as an opportunity to do that. And through my business is affected and through I'm not getting as many, I probably am numerically, madami siguro, pero financially it may not be as rewarding as before. So I probably need to recalibrate para and rethink what am I missing? What am I not doing? One of the things that I realize is I am not fully digitized myself, right? And then we have this audio problem because I am not that knowledgeable, admittedly. So it takes a lot of it takes a lot of studying and learning, and that's one area. And there are others. I mean, spiritually speaking, if we have time, I have also some skeletons in my closet that I probably need to remove and then sweep out and redo. So yung mga ganong tipo. And I know it might sound ethereal or parang napaka-unpractical naman ang sasabi ni Sir Boris. It is practical when you actually have solid grounding on what you really want in life, right? And once na-identify mo na yun yung pangatlong strategy, being proactive. Go get it. Do something about it. File a loan from a bank if you need. Tawag ito, partner with somebody else. I mean, put up your website. Do this. Network with a client. Whatever it takes. But the thing is, you need to really sort it out. Otherwise, you might be fighting for something that is not really meant to be yours to begin with. Do you follow? Do you get what I'm saying, Martin?
Yes, definitely. In fact, yun nga eh, ako specifically for me, in the last 3 months that we've been in quarantine, di ba, we've been working from home, I've been non-stop attending all these webinars. Minsan nakaka-overwhelm na nga eh. No? I think it's a little too much information. No? Sobrang minsan nakaka-overwhelm. And yet, we want this, no? We want to grow. We want to become better versions of ourselves during this pandemic because, we don't know when we're going to bounce back, right? That's a given. But at least we get to maximize on what we're doing right now. And so hopefully all these trainings, all of these webinars, us investing in ourselves, reading a book, exercising or whatnot, I hope there is a return of investment, helping us transition towards the new normal, towards the new realities that will face us in our work, right?
I think the worst thing that anyone can do at this point is to suffer from this pandemic, to lose not just, well, I hope you haven't lost any person that you love, but we will definitely lose a lot of things. Financially, we'll lose, opportunities will lose. The worst thing that could happen to us is that we suffer, we lose a lot of things, and we stay the way we are just before the pandemic started. That that's the worst outcome that could happen to any one of us. So may we choose not to remain the same. May we choose not to stay where we are, but intentionally find ways to actually, like what you said, improve, grow, try other things, diversify, innovate, and then so that when this pandemic ends, and definitely it will still go back to normal. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think people will still travel, people will still stay in hotels, people will still eat out. Nandun pa rin yun. There are probably new dynamics in between. Pero once it all goes back, you're not just a businessman of a restaurant. You'll be a businessman of a restaurant and a digital platform, for example, or you'll be owning a hotel and something virtual on the side. Yung mga ganon. So I really am. That's really where I am hopeful at, and that's really how I want to see other people riding this shutdown that we are apparently into.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. By the way, I just wanted to acknowledge some of our viewers. So we have
Right.
with us, see, sorry, I just have to wear my glasses kasi medyo mahirap basahin. Si Mr. Bombet is listening and learning from you, Mr. Boris. Hello daw.
Hi, Bombet.
He's from the Calamba City Tourism Office. That's good, no? And we also have si Amelia. Si Miss Amelia is a first-time viewer and she's watching from
Wow.
Bacolod, Negros Occidental. Nakakamiss, no? Sabi natin, Boris, we've been talking to these tourism stakeholders and yet we are not in the destination. How good it is to someday actually be in that place, no?
Exactly. How I wish. Yun lang nakaka-miss di ba? I love traveling. Honestly, I'm a traveler. And one of my wish lists is to masugid ko ang Pilipinas. I think one of the lunch conversation I had with Martin was planning my trip to El Nido. And that was the first one that was hit when this quarantine started. But yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yan. So sana, Miss Amelia, mabisita ka namin sa Bacolod. No? We're looking forward. We also have si Mr. Lemuel is watching from Bantayan Island, Cebu. Nako, napakaganda din dyan. Nakapunta ka na ba dyan, Sir Boris?
My favorite island. Yeah. Bantayan is one of my favorite spots.
Great. We also have si Sam from Panabo City. Yan.
Oh.
Pero, of course, no, we're not just reaching out to the destinations. We also have from the Metro. Ito si Mr. Charlie Garcia is one of the FBS trainers here in NCR. No? Yan, magaling na trainer din yan. Mr. Charlie, hello. Thank you for joining us. We also have Vincent. Oh, how are you, Vincent? Gibbons is watching all the way from Spain. Diba? So, si Mr. Vincent is one of the ADB consultants before. No? And he definitely made a mark and helped us, no, in terms of tourism promotions and establishing some projects for the Department of Tourism. Yeah.
Wow. Que hora es sa España?
Yeah, in España right now, Vince. What time is it now? Right. So there you go. Thank you for joining us, Vincent. And we also have all the way from Sultan Kudarat, from the LGU Calamansha Tourism. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us, and definitely po, no, it's a relevant topic. We are all hit bad. We understand what we're going through. No, alam po natin, we empathize with you, and that's why, as much as possible, no, we want to hear from you. No, let us know how we can help you, because right now we've been doing this. No, si Boris and I are actually planning to go and help out all the other destinations. Like, for example, si vegan tourism office already reached out, and they also want to
Wow.
they want assistance with parang ginawa natin sa La Union, no, yung risk and crisis management. They want assistance with planning, right? Strategic planning. You've been doing this for quite a while, right, Boris? So
Yeah.
ato, in terms of planning, siguro in the last stretch, right? How is planning important for organizations right now? And ano kaya ang pwede natin gawin for them looking
Actually,
moving forward?
yeah, all the more it's more, kumbaga mas ano siya, mas doable, lalo na kapag naka-shutdown ka. Normally kasi, what I really hate before, when a client asked me to do a strategic planning, they would say something like, pero Boris, meron lang tayong one day ah. Okay,
Right.
Boris, ano lang to, half day lang. Pwede bang half day lang? So parang feeling ko, my goodness, we're gonna plan for the next 12 months and you only have half a day to do it. Parang feeling ko it's not enough. There's not enough thinking put on there. And to be honest, nakakadali. And then sometimes the creativity and innovative thinking is hindered. Ngayon, we have all the time, honestly. If you love your business, if you want your business to recover, when everything settles down, this is a good time to really pay attention to strategic planning. And there are so many tools that you can use. Ako kasi I'm such an OC to a process. I love guiding people from one process to another. And if you allow your team to actually just sit down, not panic, but really think this through, I really believe that you would come up with different ways, options A, B, and C, in a way to actually survive and eventually, that's the here's the word coming down now, to thrive and be profitable. So we did the same thing. Personally, my group within the months, the weeks of May, that's all we did. We were really talking about, parang siya, ano, I don't know kung Martin is probably too young to remember this. Parang Dungeons and Dragon yung novel.
I
Yung
did,
parang kung
yeah.
may options, Bandersnatch sa Netflix. Yung parang you choose your ending, parang ganon. Strategic planning can be a game like that. When you take one action, what are your possible endings? Okay. So and then if action B is taken, what's the possible ending? And once you draw that out, and there's just so many, there's just really just a few realities that are foreboding in your future. Pero pag napag-isipan mo yun mabuti, I'm sure you would thought of every possible scenarios, and that would allow you to make decisions. I think the what's really hard for us in this crisis is we are bad in decision making because we were not able to forecast what's going to happen. So ngayon habang naka-stand still lahat, why don't we lay down our cards? Ano yung mga possible scenarios? And we can't really predict the future, but at least we can have an approximation of what can happen. And we make choices based on those intentional thinkings.
Right. So, by the way, as you mentioned, no, it's time to plan, it's time to collaborate, and I think that's what we discussed also with the LGU, with the tourism office, no, the recent event that we had, where it's important to involve your tourism stakeholders. Like for example, as
Yeah.
a tourism office, it's not solely your job to create these strategies, these crisis management implementations. It's about collaboration. It's about involving, giving voice
Mm-hmm.
to your tourism stakeholders because they know their business and you have to
Yeah.
work with them, diba? So very important talaga yung mga ganyang events like risk and crisis management planning and strategic planning, right? Because it allows us to put our heads together, plan, right? And then eventually implement. Because I think it's more sustainable that way, if you plan it more than just creating a plan, more than just downloading that plan to your tourism stakeholders, like telling them, hey, this is what we're going to do. Why not involve them? Involve them in the process. Ask them know what they need and how you can collaborate so that it's more
All right.
sustainable. Do you agree with that, Boris?
And dagdagan ko lang, on top of what you said, and I totally agree, it's really a good time to survey your customers. Talk to them. Get their insights. I mean, as um, which is funny. Parang I'm a frequent traveler. Parang feeling ko nobody has really talked to me what I'm gonna do next. Parang what if everything settles down? What do I intend to do with my postponed or canceled El Nido trip? This is a good time to talk to them. I mean, just talk to them, and I'm sure as customers, ako ma-appreciate yun because when everything was on a standstill, my my auto dealer actually called me and asked me, "How are you doing? Do you want us to postpone your car mortgage for a while because we can put it on hold?" And I appreciated that. But of course, at that point I didn't want to put it on hold because feeling ko pareho lang. Pero unless they told us na ano, ay free na yung 3 months mo, sir. Pero walang ganun. But what I appreciated is the conversation. They actually talked to me and I shared to them what I was going through and all that. Maybe this is a good time to talk to your customers. I mean, God knows not many of you have been talking to your customers kasi busy parate. And even if there's downtime, I mean, ano ba tawag, hindi siya non-peak season, I'm sure you're not having a focus group discussion among your travelers or your frequent guests. But this is a good time to do that. I mean, have conversations with them. And I saw that with Discovery Suite when they were interviewing they were celebrity, so they were it was a good time to actually attract attention, but they were actually asking them what about their services that they like and this and that. Maybe that's a good time to do that and see and maybe fix the things that are unfixed. I mean, fix the things that are problematic in your operations, and that will be actually good. So not just the voice of your stakeholders, but also the voice of your consumers.
Right. And very talagang napaka-important, no, na as you mentioned, no, the importance of talking to them, because right now I think a lot of the potential tourists, potential guests are still apprehensive of with regard to traveling, no? Natatakot pa sila baka mahawa sila along the way, right? May mga apprehensions of, is it safe to ride an airplane right now, or to ride a transportation van right now going to a certain destination? So maraming apprehensions yung guests, yung mga potential tourists. Now, how kaya can we, as tourism stakeholders, kumbaga, assure them of their safety? I think yun yung mga dapat i-consider ng ating mga tourism stakeholders right now. Right? So yeah, go ahead.
That's really sorry, can I just share this?
Yeah.
If you're all familiar with the Maslow hierarchy of needs, pasensya na, ang background ko kasi is behavioral science.
Yeah.
So I study behavior. So kunwari yung Maslow hierarchy of needs, siya, it's always the basic, the base. Okay, and then eventually parang you move onwards. To have a simplified version of that, the first one is safety and stability. I think we need to assure people that it's safe and stable. So standards and our Western counterparts are already ahead of that, and I know they're taking some precautionary measures. They have some quality controls, whether their behavior their behavior and their processes in and outside the hotel is acceptable through the WHO standard. And I've been seeing these hotels in Thailand, in Vietnam, and they're trying to demonstrate how good they are. So that's the first one, and then the other one is the way you work. Maybe what we need to communicate to our consumers is how good you work, and if they had a pleasant experience in the past, madali lang paniwalaan that you can pull this through in the present. So that's also another parang critical dimension. How will we bring you step by step? Di ba sa Philippine Airlines or one of those airlines, meron silang process on what do you need to do in case of an emergency. And then totoo naman, nakakatakot naman talaga lumipad di ba?
Yes.
Pandemic or no pandemic, pwede siyang bumagsak. It's really a given. Pero they assured you that they have a step. So the way you work or the process has to be communicated. What's going to happen? Paano yung contact tracing? How do you isolate someone that's discovered with the virus? Mga ganun, diba? So you really need to iron that, and that requires a lot of planning, right? And
Right.
of course, the last two phases is really belongingness and confidence. So parang um, before you can even communicate to your consumers that you care, you need to show them how you will care. Di ba? Yun yung ano, parang simplified version nun. Because everything else would follow. Kasi parang siyang pyramid nga. If you establish the safety and security, and you were able to explain the process, communicate the process, the belongingness, and of course you have loyal customers out there, and the confidence automatically follows because they know you, they know that you never disappointed them in the past, and they know that you will pull through. Or maybe if confidence was lacking from the past, maybe this is a good time to recalibrate, to tell them that other hotels are failing, but we're doing a good job, and this is how we're doing it, and this is how we are different from the others. So I suppose, I mean, I haven't traveled yet, and I haven't seen how an airline is doing it, and I suppose people are traveling it because they want to, but because they have to. But
Right.
when it comes to leisure, it becomes a choice, and you want to help them make that choice, right?
Right. Okay, just to acknowledge some of the insights from Facebook, sabi ni Mr. Sam, talagang nakakatulong yung mga information that you're providing. So thank you very much for that acknowledgement, Sam. He's an hospitality educator and alam naman natin yung importance and role ng ating mga educators, no? So salute to you. I hope, no, that we get to, analyze and process the learnings that we have, and hopefully through your teaching, no, in the near future, whether online or offline, I hope that you can also motivate your students, no? Kasi really napaka-challenging talaga, Boris, na tong nung panahon na to, especially for
Yeah.
future tourism professionals. We've been hearing news in social media, hundreds of pilots, flight attendants, hoteliers, no, from major chains, thousands of them being laid off. No? So talagang napaka-challenging.
Mm.
And so really, it will bring us to our last point later, the importance of hope and having faith during this crisis. But before that, just to acknowledge further, meron din tayong hospitality, more academe practitioners here from, one is Mr. Dennis Samar from Lapu-Lapu City, from Cebu,
Wow.
right?
Mhm.
So, yan. So, nandito rin with us, yung guest natin before, si Coach AJ De La Fuente, right? So,
All
National
right. Hey,
Development
Jay.
Manager yan from Accor Group, right? And, no, all of these insights really brings us to a point now, no? With our last few minutes remaining, ano
Yeah.
kaya, how can we use hope in our faith? If you do have faith, no, we're not saying, no, we're not specifying anything, whether you believe in what religion or not. But what do you think, how can we use hope and faith in this pandemic moving forward?
Well, I think, like what I shared kanina, I think how God spoke to me at the onset of the pandemic. Kasi alam naman natin na to, di ba, Martin? I think as early as December, November last year, alam naman natin may COVID na, di ba? And we were just hoping the summer heat will kill it or hindi tayo ma-affected kagaya ng SARS. But I think what God reminded me at that time is that we still need to do something about it, and faith comes in when we do not know what else to do next. And
Right.
this crisis has really given us that limitation, so to speak. And like what I mentioned, my verse, the Bible verse that struck me is Isaiah 26 verse 3, or was it 23 verse 6? Paki-check na lang. But
Sige.
basically, it's the last P. Diba? I said you be purposeful, you be prioritizing, and then you be proactive. And the last one is that you will be at peace. I guess that's really where hope and faith puts us. It doesn't guarantee success, but it will give you peace. Because in
Right.
that verse it says you will have perfect peace if you have a steadfast mind. Yun yung
Right.
proactive. Tsaka, I mean, you're agile, you're thinking, you're moving forward, and you're prioritizing. If you have a steadfast mind and a trusting heart, as in that verse really says, you will give perfect peace to those who have steadfast mind, and whose heart fully trusts in you. And that's really just the way it goes. I guess our faith just allows us to trust in the unseen and the uncertain. And nothing's more uncertain than what we are experiencing now. Maybe the last Spanish flu was the other one, or when there was a pending war. But this one, definitely nobody can be sure what's going to happen next. So that's where the trusting heart really uh, falls into place. It calms you. Again, in times of chaos, what people need is stability, security, and safety. And even if you think that their threat can happen, a threat can happen at any angle in your life, just having a trusting heart will give you stability and the peace that you need to be more proactive, to be more steadfast, to be more unwavering. And the more you work towards your goal, you never know. Things might unfold. And when they do, be sure you're ready to catch it.
Right. So thank you very much for that, Boris. Nako, I'm sure a lot of our viewers are really motivated right now. No, we understand. No, alam po natin how difficult it is. In fact, ako rin kahit ako, I'm sure you can also relate. No, sawang-sawa na tayo sa ating mga bahay. No, we've been wanting to travel already. A lot of us are excited and are already looking at destinations, where to go next. No, so I hope again, going back, right? I hope that everyone, our viewers, no, right now, I hope you can maximize the time, diba? Again, investing in yourself, developing yourself, investing in your organization, re-establishing or highlighting why or what makes your company, exist. No, bakit? Why are we here? And who are we doing it for? So that we can go back to the core, so that we can go back to the basics. And I hope, no, with that in mind, it will help us propel us moving forward. Kasi ang hirap talaga ng sitwasyon. We understand that, and I hope, no, together as tourism stakeholders and as private or public sector practitioners, I hope that we can all unite. Now is the time to do that, because everyone is, as mentioned earlier, are feeling hopeless, are feeling helpless. So please, let's continue to encourage one another. Hold on to your faith. Hold on to your that kind of hope, no? And really hoping that someday things will be better soon. So thank you very much, Boris, for joining us again for Motivational Mondays, and looking forward. I hope we can have you back with us again.
Well, yeah. Well, I look forward to working with you. More than La Union, I think we'll have more opportunities other than that. So, yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you po sa mga nanood tsaka nakinig. And I hope you do get in touch.
Okay, all right. So there you have it, Mr. Boris Joaquin. Ito, you're very lucky because he is one of the top corporate trainers in the Philippines. I think in Asia pa nga no? So, grabe, no? Buti na lang nasamahan po tayo ni Mr. Boris Joaquin now, because of course, no, we really need all the insights that we can get in order to prepare us better. In terms of moving forward, again, we don't have the answers, we don't have the solution, but what we can do is to help you. Help us help you. I hope that we can have more webinars, more learning opportunities, maybe in your province, maybe in your LGU. Gusto nating matulungan ang ating mga tourism stakeholders. Let them know that you are there for them. It's best to collaborate. It's best that the public and private sector work hand in hand, get our minds together, plan together, so that we can all move forward. And I think that's what we want. We want to be resilient. We want to survive and thrive this pandemic. So there, thank you very much for joining once again ating Motivational Mondays. And I hope this becomes a habit for us, right? As we transition, I know some of you are already back in the workplace. Some of you are still waiting, that things will be better in terms of the industry, in terms of the tourism industry. Some in the academe are already planning, no, towards digitization, towards blended or flexible learning opportunities. And I hope, no, that our perspective, our sense of hope, and our faith drives us moving forward. So I thank you very much again for joining us, and we hope to see you in our next episode. All right. Until then, this is Martin signing off. Thank you.